Hey everybody, how are you doing? This is Kirsten here. Thank you so much for joining me today on this new episode of A Better Way with Kirsten podcast. In today's episode, we're talking about fear when it comes to TMS recovery. But we're not only going to talk about the fear of symptoms. I feel like a lot of people talk about it, and it's great because we absolutely need to reduce our fear of symptoms, because otherwise we just cannot recover if we don't push ourselves a little bit. But in today's episode, we're going to also talk about the fear in other areas of life, in other ways that it can come out and you maybe never even thought about it. Oh, that's fear too. So this is what I'm going to tell you today, showing you some other areas of your life. Maybe it's interactions with other people. Maybe it's how you perceive things that you still likely have a lot of fear. And this fear is actually holding you back from recovering. But I also want to start with something really cool. So you may know, or maybe you don't know, that I also have a 14-day free course called Strong and Sensitive. And this course is meant for people who are either highly sensitive and or have TMS sensations, and they want to get back to exercise. And this course offers them exercises, actually workouts that you can do. They're very gentle. They're done with only body weight if you want the easier level. And then the higher level has some weights, but you can start with the easier level. And it also combines it with mindset tools such as, how do you perceive things? How do you perceive yourself? What are the emotions that you're feeling? What is it that you need right now? A lot of nuggets like this, and this course is completely free. It is a 14-day course. It is free, and when you sign up for it, you're going to get one lesson delivered into your email inbox every day. And I want to read to you a message that I literally just now got from somebody like 5 minutes ago. I opened my phone and I saw this. And I'm going to read this. This is from somebody who signed up for this course. And she's also doing now my strength training course that is meant for beginners, Train to Build Starter. But here's what she has to say about the 14-day free program. She says, "Morning, Kirsten. I just wanted to say thank you. I signed up for the free Strong and Sensitive course and never had a chance to listen to it until recently. I finished last night and I was blown away by all the free content and gold nuggets I learned in the mini course. Everyone really needs to listen to each day, as there is so much to learn and take in. I'm doing a lot of what you're speaking about, taking action like processing my emotions. I started yesterday sitting in front of a mirror asking myself, what are you feeling today? What's on your mind? I noticed by doing that, staring back at my reflection, I seem to open up more and have a conversation with myself. And after, as you suggested, to have gratitude for what you have in your life, to turn it into positive." So this is just like a small piece that what she's saying. But yes, it's great to hear that it is so helpful and beneficial for people. And I agree, there are a lot of kind of little nuggets that people don't generally think about. A lot of times people are just thinking about, okay, I have this TMS, this is awful, how can I get rid of this? And then they hear, you just have to get rid of the pain and you just have to, tell yourself that you're safe. But honestly, it goes a little bit deeper than that. I will say that for me personally, telling myself that you're safe did zero. Literally did zero. And I'm happy if it works for somebody. They need to repeat it, and maybe their brain takes it in. Maybe their brain has felt this way that it needs to hear it. But for me, just hearing that I'm safe, it didn't really work. And the things that worked for me a lot more are the things that I have put into the Strong and Sensitive course that this person is referring to. There are questions like, what do you feel right now? What is the emotion going on? How do you work with this emotion? And so on. And I'm also really pumped that I am actually working on the specific course on emotions that will come out a little bit later. But it will come out. It's in the works. And there we're going into a lot more detail on how to work with each emotion individually. So I'm really excited and looking forward to that. I gotta say that writing this course has been incredibly healing, which I think speaks for the power of writing in general. I know that journaling isn't for everybody. Not everybody finds it helpful, useful, but for me, it definitely is. And like writing this to you, putting this out there has helped me heal as well. I'm very excited, and I can't wait for it to come out. So you can check it out and try it out for yourself. Okay, but coming back to today's topic, which is then fear, right? I mentioned that A lot of times we only think about the fear in terms of the sensations. And this is what you hear a lot. Oh, you shouldn't be afraid of your sensations. You shouldn't be afraid of move your body. You shouldn't be afraid of going, participating in life, doing things, getting back to life. And I 100% agree, because if you understand the definition of TMS, you know that there's nothing to be afraid of, and you really shouldn't be scared if your symptom pops up like a little bit and then, makes you feel uncomfortable. This is not a place to say, I'm going to stop. You throw your hands up, you're like, I'm going to stop. I'm not going to do this anymore. Because if you do that, then you're still really afraid of your symptoms and sensations, and you just can't recover like this. If every time it gets a little bit uncomfortable, you're going to give up. Sometimes, a lot of the times, you just have to be with it, because the sensations are harmless, right? They are absolutely harmless. You should know this. If you understand what TMS is, then you know. And then just keep doing this thing anyway. And there has to be a little bit of discomfort there will be. That's the way you can recover. But recovering from fear is so much more than just recovering from a fear of symptoms or sensations. It's not just those things that you have to lose your fear of. There's also other things, and I want to mention them today, and I'm going to share with you 7 things that you are probably still really afraid of, and without you realizing, they are the things that are keeping you stuck, and that's why you're not recovering. Okay, so number 1, what you are probably afraid of is not being perfect of something, right? So if you really want to be super perfect, what is the fear there? Oh, I'm going to do something wrong, and in some way I'm going to get in trouble. Maybe this was an experience in your childhood. When you didn't do things perfectly, you did get in trouble. Maybe it caused some kind of rejection, abandonment. These are your fears. So now when you start something and then the fear comes in, but what if this is not going to be perfect? It can go 2 ways. Number 1, you're going to push and force yourself to be perfect at this thing until you're spread so thin that your brain is extremely stressed out and you're going to get more symptoms. This is what happens with a lot of perfectionists. Then they get so detailed about everything because the fear of rejection or a conflict or something is so big in them, even though it's not really real, right? There's no real consequences, but in their heads it can be something so terrible, so they try really, really hard, and as a result they cause themselves just more symptoms because the stress is just so high. Or the other way can go, the person can say, well, if I can't be perfect, I'm not going to get started at all. And this is what I see, for example, with my program, the Train to Build Starter, when people are telling me, oh, I really want to do this, but what if there's going to be one day where I just can't do this? It's the program starts with 2 workouts per week, and later on it's 3 workouts a week. What if I cannot do the third workout one week? That's awful, right? Then it means that I've failed. I have not been perfect. So it's better for me to not start at all. So if you think this way, you see how you're not moving forward because you're letting the fear of, oh my goodness, I'm not going to be perfect, take completely over, right? And this is so scary for a lot of people. What if I'm not perfect? But there's nothing wrong with this. Actually, true health is in the middle ground. It's not like yes or no. It's not black or white. It's that middle ground area. It's the gray area where sometimes you compromise. This is where you can be really healthy and really happy and really thrive. And this is where also your symptoms start to go away. Your symptoms don't start to go away if you push so hard. So you're so perfect at doing all the things in the checklist. This is usually not how it goes. And they also don't go away when you don't do anything about it. So it's not all or nothing. It's like this middle ground, this gray area. And you have to start implementing more of that in your life. Because if you are pushing yourself to be so perfect at everything, that's going to keep your symptoms around. Okay, so that was the first thing. The second thing that you're probably afraid of is making a quote unquote wrong decision in whatever area of life it is. But let's use something simple, right? Let's say that you want to buy something. I think I've used this example previously too, but you want to buy like a piece of clothing or something, and you just can't make the decision. Which one should I get? Should I get the pink t-shirt or blue t-shirt or green t-shirt? Which one is the best? And then you go on and on and on and think and think and think, and then you start texting everybody and sending pictures and asking their opinions. And what's what's the cause here? Like, why you're doing this? You're so afraid of making a wrong decision without realizing that even if it is quote unquote wrong, it's not a terribly wrong. It's not like a life-changing thing. It's not that you cannot return the t-shirt, or it's not that you cannot get a different one later on, or it's not that you can't give the one that you bought to your, I don't know, somebody else, right? There's so many other options that you can do, right? But if you have this intense fear of, I'm going to make a wrong decision, you're actually going back to perfectionism, right? Because you think that all your decisions have to be super perfect. You think that the stakes are super high. Like if you make that quote unquote wrong decision, something terrible is going to happen. And you may also go back into your childhood and think, was there something in my childhood that may have caused this? Maybe you did get in trouble for making a wrong decision. And then you have to tell yourself, I am not that little boy or girl anymore. This is not the same situation. I am an adult now. I can make my own decision. And even if it is quote unquote wrong in the moment, I can change it. Hardly anything is like such a big thing that you cannot change it. Whether it is like buying a new t-shirt, making an Instagram post, whatever the things are that you might be afraid of, like making the wrong decision, doing something a little bit wrong. Usually the stakes are not as high. Like you might be overthinking it, probably are overthinking it. The next thing that a lot of people are still afraid of is trusting their intuition. And this is understandable where it comes from. Obviously there could be more places where it comes from, but one of them is if you have been in the medical system for very long and heard all the things that are supposedly wrong with you all the time. At the same time, you actually had TMS, right? But now you learn from this practitioner and the next that this is wrong. You have to take these supplements. You have to eat a certain way. You cannot move. I've even heard things like you're not supposed to take more than 2,000 steps a day, or something horrifying is going to happen. And that's how we learn to distrust ourselves, right? Our gut feeling might be saying something, but we're pushing it off. Nope, this is probably not right because they said so, right? Or just, it doesn't necessarily have to be related to your health. It can be other things too. You just have a gut feeling about something or somebody, right? But you don't trust it because you are lacking this understanding that what you think is also valuable, that you actually can rely on yourself. In some ways, you're used to relying on other people and asking their opinions and trusting them more than you trust yourself. But you have to start changing it. See if you can start with some small things. Okay, how can I trust myself in this situation? Let's sit down and try to feel, how does this feel in my body? Does it feel like this is a good decision? Okay, I think I hear a little voice here that says, yeah, go for it, or don't go for it. It's like you have to practice getting more intuitive and start trusting it a little bit more. You can't rely on others all the time and ask their opinions all the time. The fourth thing that you might be still afraid of is letting yourself just be and just relax. Okay, that might be scary for a lot of people because many of us have grown up with this idea that rushing around, accomplishing, doing more is better. And this is how you earn your worth. And of course, our culture doesn't exactly help either, right? It enforces that. It enforces this idea that you have to push super hard, work, and maybe when you retire, maybe then you can rest a little bit. But most of the time, people are really sick by the time because they're just so overworked. But we're not letting ourselves sit back and relax. We think that there's something bad about it, and we feel guilty. And this is another thing that you have to start training in yourself, like allowing yourself to rest more, allowing yourself to just be, right? Your value as a human being doesn't go up. You don't become more valuable just because you are doing more stuff. What you actually do with this is you're putting yourself in this overstressed mode again, where you're rushing around, you're probably multitasking, two of which these things are very stressful for your brain. Your brain will feel more stress from it, and your brain will feel less stress if you are allowing yourself to sit back and relax and breathe, right? The next thing that you might be still afraid of is a big one, and that is what others think of you. Oh my God, right? Like so-and-so might be thinking that I'm not a good person, or so-and-so might be thinking that the clothes that were bad or wrong, or so-and-so might be thinking that I don't look good enough, or my decision was wrong, right? If you think so much about what everybody else is thinking, you are not letting yourself be the true version of yourself. And that, again, is a danger signal, in my opinion, to your brain. Because again, now you start doing things based on what others are possibly thinking. And the craziest part of it all is that you can never have like 100% of the people like what you did. Like everybody likes what I'm doing. This is impossible to achieve. So when you try to do that, you start catering your behaviors and whatever it is, like based on what somebody might like. And that could be very different from what you personally would like, right? So you try to do things so that other people will like you, and then another person would like you, and a third person would like you, but they are not the same thing, right? So not everybody is going to like you no matter what you do. So if you're so hyper focused on what others might think, you can never win. You can never win in this situation. You have to focus on what feels right for me. How do I want to show up? If I was the most authentic version of myself, what would I do? What would that look like? Who's that person going to be? This is what you have to focus on, not on others. The next thing that you're probably still afraid of is speaking up. And this comes back to what others think, right? If you are afraid to voice your opinion, say what you mean, and you just, again, try to do things the way others want, then you're not speaking up. And when you're not speaking up, you're actually creating internal anger. You are becoming angrier and angrier inside because what you want to say is maybe different than what you actually say. And inside, this is not a good fit, right? This is not how you feel in alignment with yourself. You're totally out of alignment if you don't speak up. You're angry inside, you don't say what's bothering you, and you do what somebody else wants. You're totally out of alignment. And your body will feel it. Your brain will feel it, and it reflects it in your body. So you have to start speaking up. It doesn't mean that you have to be mean, rude, violent, anything like that. You can just kindly speak up and voice your opinion. And then the last thing that you're probably still afraid of is saying no, which is actually very similar to the last point that we just discussed. So if you're super afraid of saying no, then you say yes, obviously, right? I think I even did a whole podcast episode on this topic. What happens when you want to say no, but you actually say yes, and you actually create the same kind of internal conflict, right? You're angry inside because you didn't want to say yes, but you did, and now you have to do the thing that you committed to, and you just don't want to. It's just too much. It's not what you would like to do. But if you're so afraid of saying no, then again, you're putting other people first, and you're creating a lot of internal anger, and this is just not what feels good in your brain. Again, you're out of alignment, and when you're out of alignment, then your brain is stressed, and you're going to start to feel it in your body as well. So think about all these things. I'm going to read you this list one more time. It's not just symptoms that you have to lose the fear of. You are also probably afraid of things like, number 1, not being perfect. Number 2, making a quote-unquote wrong decision. Number 3, you're afraid of trusting your emotion. Number 4, you're afraid of letting yourself just be and relax. Number 5, you're afraid of what others might think of you. Number 6, you're afraid of speaking up. Number 7, you're afraid of saying no. So I hope you found this podcast today helpful. Think about these things. Start changing your responses so that you are more in alignment, so that your brain can feel like, okay, yes, this is the true, authentic version of her, and this is what we like here, right? So there's no internal conflict. Things are more in a better flow, and that's why your brain can start settling down, and your symptoms will settle down as well. All right, this is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll talk to you very soon. Bye bye.